Donald Trump told us that even though, he had dinner with these kinds of people in New York City and West Palm Beach, that he would be transparent, but he's not. He's still in with the Epstein class. This is the Epstein administration, and they're attacking me for trying to get these files released.
All right, folks, buckle up. We're diving headfirst into the murky waters of the Epstein files. And let me tell you, it's similar than a politician's promise. We're talking about powerful people, alleged cover-ups, and an absolute dumpster fire of excuses from the Trump administration. This isn't just about files. It's about justice, transparency, and holding the elite accountable. The deeper we dig, the more it stinks. And today, we're here to call out every single whiff of BS. Let's get into it and roll the tape.
Congressman Thomas Massey continued to go hard against the Trump administration over the weekend in this whole Epstein debacle. Before I give you more, Cenk, your 2 cents.
Okay, hold on a minute. The Epstein administration? Wow, that's not just a spicy soundbite. That's a direct accusation. But actually, frankly, it's kind of pretty spot on given what we're hearing. Trump promised transparency, remember? It was supposed to be the new era, draining the swamp and all that jazz. Instead, we're watching him defend the very swamp creatures he swore to oust. It's like going to a restaurant, ordering a gourmet meal, and getting served a plate of expired leftovers. Then, the chef gets mad at you for asking where the fresh fruit is. Seriously? When you're attacking a congressman for wanting to release files about a literal pedophile ring, it really makes you wonder whose side you're really on. It's not a good look, Mr. President Trump. It's not a good look at all, buddy.
Yeah, I want to talk about why they're doing this right now, as opposed to them saying, oh, we're going to release the second set of files earlier. They changed their mind. Why did they change their mind? I think we have an excellent answer for that. We also are going to show you conservatives who are no longer being silent when Trump does whatever Israel wants, not just Massey, but others as well. Anna, give us those facts.
Well, when it comes to Massey, he was specifically responding to a question about President Donald Trump's pretty vicious campaign against him over the fact that Massey has been one of the more vociferous members of Congress in pressuring the Trump administration to release the Epstein files. Now, in response to that, Trump has supported Massey's primary opponent. He has repeatedly attacked the fact that Thomas Massey got remarried. Does Trump not remember the fact that he cheated on his wives, cheated on Melania while she was pregnant with an adult film actress? Like what are we talking about here? But anyway, Massey has definitely drawn the ire of Trump because he wants transparency for the American people when it comes to a pedophile ring that was able to operate with impunity for the most part. Meanwhile, Trump's Department of Justice has announced that they will not release any more Epstein files. Okay, so in a poor effort to explain why these files are either heavily redacted or why the Trump administration is withholding files from the public, Trump's Department of Justice cited work product privilege, which means that opposing counsel can't look at each other's legal materials. Sounds like a bunch of BS to me. Attorney-client privilege, which shields an attorney and client communications from discovery, and also deliberate product privilege, which allows the government to withhold information about how its executive agencies reach decisions. So they're throwing everything they can at the wall. Now let's watch Massey explain why he thinks all of these excuses from the Trump administration happen to be bogus.
They're citing deliberative process privilege in order not to release some of the documents. The problem with that is the bill that Ro Khanna and I wrote says that they must release internal memos and notes and emails about their decisions on whether to prosecute or not prosecute, whether to investigate or not investigate. It's important they follow that because then we could find why they didn't prosecute Leslie Wexner. What was the decision tree there? And also why in 2008 they gave Jeffrey Epstein such a light sentence. And finally, I know the DOJ wants to say they're done with this document production. The problem is they've taken down documents before we were able to go over to the DOJ and look at the unredacted versions. They took down some of the most significant documents, two of them involving Virginia Giuffre's case and other things. The picture of Epstein in a room where it's got CIA written on the boxes, that's been taken down. We want to be able to look at all these files. They can't keep those documents down after they've already produced them.
Now, Massey and anyone who wants transparency in regard to the Epstein files happen to be very upset because, we were led to believe that we at least received half of the millions of files that the DOJ has on Epstein. But it turns out that an investigation that was carried out by Channel 4 indicates the opposite has happened. We haven't even gotten half of the files or documents that are available in regard to Epstein. So let's take a quick look at how Channel 4 in the UK conducted an investigation and what they found in regard to the percentage of files that have been released to the American public.
From the earliest stages, investigators were talking about Epstein's data totaling many, many times what has so far been released. In June 2020, one wrote, "We expect the data to be somewhere around 20 to 40 terabytes," noting that the total capacity of the devices was up to 50 terabytes. Then as recently as last year, long after the investigations into Epstein and his associates had ended, the figures quoted remained massive. We're looking at a total of approximately 14.6 terabytes of archived data, said another email. To put that in context, it is almost 15,000 gigabytes. But now, a year on from that, the total data released, claimed to be some 300 gigabytes, accounts for just 2% of the total Epstein data that officials were discussing just last year.
2%. 2%. How about this? Let me repeat that for the people in the back. 2%. We're talking about a fraction of the information that was expected to be released. It isn't just a slow drip. It's like trying to fill a bathtub with a single tear. It's an insult to anyone who cares about justice, and it screams cover-up louder than a foghorn in a library. The Trump administration's excuses are flimsier than a house of cards in a hurricane. Work product privilege? Deliberative process privilege? What? These sound like fancy legal terms for we don't want you to know what we're hiding. It's the legal equivalent of a toddler putting their hands over their eyes and thinking, you can't see them. We're not stupid, folks. Tell them we're not stupid. We know there's more. And we know they're actively suppressing it. And tell me this, why are you doing that, folks? Why? That's $1 million question. Because the smell test on this is failing epically.
Thus, the cover-up by the Trump administration continues. And in regard to the DOJ's excuses for not releasing the remainder of the files, Congresswoman Nancy Mace, another Republican, not buying what the DOJ is selling. Here's what she wrote on X. I want to be abundantly clear that the DOJ memo released tonight, citing work product privilege, will not save the DOJ from releasing all the Epstein files. I'm not an attorney, and even I know this won't hold up in a court of law. Regarding deliberative process privilege, it would not cover factual information, which is missing from the files. If they can give the names, then they can give them in unredacted files. The list is an admission that they can remove those redactions. And where are all the videos? If he had as many cameras as has been reported, there would be far more than 2,000 videos. Trust me on this, I know, because I've worked with an extensive number of victims in voyeurism cases. And she says, to be honest, it's hard to find a legitimate reason not to expose every word in the Epstein files except for and unless you are prosecuting someone. That isn't happening. DOJ will lose in court if it comes to that. Now, Marjorie Taylor Greene had her own views on this as well. Before we get to that, Cenk, I want to give you an opportunity to comment.
Yeah, so there's two things that are inescapable in this case. As Nancy Mace said, there are no videos. So we know that there were video cameras in all the rooms. So the government's gonna tell us that there was video cameras, but out of the goodness of his heart, Jeffrey Epstein didn't tape anyone? No, that's the most preposterous thing that anybody's ever heard. So that means, without a shadow of a doubt, the US government is still lying, still protecting the predators, and you have every right to ask why. Why on God's green earth would the US government say, oh yeah, go ahead and rape American children. And don't worry, I'll back you for decades. The second thing that's inescapable is there's been no prosecutions. So Epstein got a slap on the wrist on purpose. Alex Acosta saying that the intelligence agencies made him do it at the time in Florida. Ghislaine Maxwell is in the least security prison in the country, and she pretty much runs that prison. But none of the other clients, Les Wexner, who's labeled a co-conspirator by the FBI, Leon Black, that is accused of a vicious rape, none of them have been prosecuted. It doesn't look like there's ever going to be any prosecution. Why wouldn't we prosecute people? Why wouldn't we at least investigate to see if we should prosecute people that we have excellent evidence have done terrible things? No, that means the US government is compromised. They're in on it. There's no question about it. There's only a handful of politicians now that are willing to say it or fight back. And if you don't see a politician fighting back against this, that means they're also compromised. So that sounds like heavy language, but it's indisputable. Who says, oh yeah, you want to rape American girls? No big deal, no big deal. Oh, we'll protect you. Not only will we not prosecute you, we'll hide the fact that you're doing it and we'll protect you. Now, why did they say that they were going to release another 3 million files, but now they say they're not? Not complicated. Benjamin Netanyahu came to town. He had a private conversation with Donald Trump. He was here from February 10th to 13th. And on the night of the 13th, they put out a statement, Pam Bondi did, going, yeah, we're all good. Yep, all the files have been released, we're done with it. Now, if you remember, what got him in trouble before was Pam Bondi and the Department of Justice putting out a statement on July 8th saying there are no files, there are no other clients, nothing bad ever happened, right? Guess who was in town at the time? Oh, Benjamin Netanyahu. And who had a private conversation with Donald Trump the night before on July 7th? Benjamin Netanyahu. So every time Netanyahu comes to town, he leaves and the American government goes, Israel didn't do anything wrong. Epstein didn't do anything wrong. There's nothing, there's no clients. Forget that they're all connected to Israel. Forget that Israel got cyber weapons because of a deal that Epstein made, and Epstein gave money to the IDF, and Epstein gives money to all these Zionist groups inside America, on and on and on. And he has spies, Israeli spies, stay over. Every deal he's made is made on behalf of Israel. But no, don't talk about that. That's it, there are no more files. Yeah, we know what happened. It's Israel, and our entire media is covering up, and almost our entire government is covering it up.
Well, while I'm sure the conversation didn't really hinge on the Israel angle to Epstein, Jillian Michaels recently interviewed former Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene about why Trump seems to be engaged in a cover-up. And here's what Marjorie Taylor Greene had to say about it.
One day, I get a phone call from the president in September, and he is so mad at me. And he's yelling at me, and he's angry at me. And the fact that he's like, you're supporting Rand Paul Jr., and he's chewing me out for signing my name on Thomas Massey's discharge petition to release the Epstein files. And I'm trying to tell him, Mr. President, they say you did nothing wrong. Right. This needs to come out. Right. And so we're having this argument. And he tells me on this phone call, he's like, Marjorie, my friends will get hurt.
That's it. That's it. I mean, that is it. Obviously, that's it. Because they're all.
Oh, his friends might get hurt? Wow, what a brave, principled stance from the leader of the free world. It's not about justice for the victims, not about transparency for the American people, but about protecting his buddies from a little reputational ding-dong. Give me a break. This isn't a high school clique. This is a pedophile ring. And if your friends are involved, maybe they deserve to get hurt. This isn't just a bad look. It's a flashing neon sign that says compromise, compromise. Imagine if your local sheriff said, nah, can't investigate that robbery. My golf buddies might be implicated. We'd be rioting in the streets. But when it's Epstein, suddenly friends getting hurt is a valid excuse? It's a moral bankruptcy on display, proving yet again that for the powerful, the rules are always different. It's infuriating, and it's why we have to keep pushing for every single file.
In here, imagine the phone calls.
It's everyone. It's every single person is on this freaking list. They're
Yes.
all there. Every billionaire, heads of state, Larry Summers, Peter Thiel, they're all in there.
They're all in there. There seems to be a thread, though, and Chilean doesn't like to follow that thread. But nonetheless, I think what Marjorie Taylor Greene had to say there was pretty interesting and important to know about. Whether or not you think that Trump is implicated in the Epstein files, and honestly, I think that he's acting as though he's got something to hide for his own self-interest. In the very least, based on what he told Marjorie Taylor Greene, he's worried about his friends getting hurt. I wouldn't care about my friends getting hurt if I knew my friends were engaging in activities with a well-known serial pedophile. But nonetheless, Cenk, final thoughts on this?
Yeah, so if you think it's a coincidence that every time Netanyahu comes, we come out and go, there are no Epstein files. Okay, maybe. And then, by the way, here's another coincidence. After Trump released these Epstein files, Mark Levin and Ben Shapiro were livid. And all of a sudden, the first Jewish president, we love Donald Trump. They're like, how dare there's something wrong with Trump? And with the tariffs, and there's a lot of problems with Trump, right? Now, Netanyahu, well, maybe same thing. Anyway, Netanyahu comes, and then Trump's team goes, oh yeah, there are no more files. We didn't mean 3 more files, 3 million more files. We meant nothing, right? Now they're back to, attaboy, Donald Trump, way to go. Okay, you see that? Now make sure you're a good boy and attack Iran, okay? So look, we don't know why they have such a lock on Trump. Yeah, he got 337 million from the Adelsons already, but Trump's the guy who loves to screw over his debtors. I think that's why Netanyahu has to keep coming back and reminding him. Now remember, it's not just the bribes our lobby gave you. We also have this stuff over you. And whatever they have over him, given what we already know about Trump, oh my God, it must be thermonuclear. And by the way, guys, if you think, oh, well, that sounds all conspiratorial. No, you could look up everything we're saying. And the Israelis knew that Bill Clinton had been with Monica Lewinsky before any of us here in America did. And they basically blackmailed Clinton with Lewinsky too. And they said, you better support what we're doing, otherwise people might find out about Monica Lewinsky. So
this was during the Oslo Accords. Yes, this was during the Oslo Accords. Mossad had been tapping Bill Clinton's phone. And so again, you're right. They knew the dirt on Monica Lewinsky and their lascivious relationship before anyone in the US did.
Yeah, because Israel's not our ally. Israel is a country that bribes our politicians and blackmails them until they send over not the politicians' money, but our money. And they've sent over $300 billion and they say it's not enough and we owe Israel more. And we owe Israel no investigations of what Epstein and his friends did.
And there you have it, folks. The Epstein saga continues to unravel, exposing a web of power, privilege, and an infuriating lack of transparency. From the paltry 2% of files released to the outright mission of protecting friends, the picture is crystal clear. There's a cover-up, and it goes right to the top. We need to keep demanding answers, keep shining a light on this darkness, and keep pushing for justice. So tell me, if you are as fired up as I am about this, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and let us know in the comments below, what do you think they're trying to hide? And who do you think is really pulling the strings? Let's keep this conversation going. And as always, stay woke, folks. Stay woke.